Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Troller. 1972 to 1975.
Welcome back, baseball fans. The 1972-75 Carryover League, and we are in the American League Championship Series between the Oakland A's and the Chicago White Sox. Let's show you where the postseason or the playoff, what's left of our season with the playoffs and the League Championship and the World Series, coming along here. So we've gone through the wild card round and the divisional round, and now the final four. 11 over 500, number 2 seed White Sox versus the number 1 best team in the league, Oakland A's, 17 games over 500, number 1 seed. National League, a wild card Atlanta team that struggled before the All-Star break, got hot, 6 over 500, but also a number 6 seed. Just the opposite from a year ago for Atlanta. They had a great season until getting knocked out as number 1 seed unexpectedly. Reds missed the playoffs altogether a year ago, embarrassingly. Won the World Series 2 years ago. Number 2 seed, 10 over 500, Braves, Reds in the National League Championship Series. But let's get right to where we are. In the ALCS, the highly anticipated battle between the White Sox and A's. Teams that were in the same division, and the White Sox challenged the A's in 72 down the stretch. A's outlasted them. That A team wasn't nearly as good as this A's team, but you could say the same about the White Sox. They've really made their team much better than the 72 White Sox. So, game 1. We open up in Oakland, and in a surprise, somewhat of a surprise, the White Sox we'll show you the rotations as well. Bart Johnson got the opening start instead of Wilbur Wood as a battle of righties versus Catfish Hunter, because they want to use Wilbur Wood in game 2 as the A's have to send Al Downing out there. And why is that? Well, you can thank the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers forced Oakland into a game 6, which Kenny Holtzman pitched. So Kenny Holtzman's not available till game 3. Meanwhile, the White Sox dispatched Detroit in 5 games with Stan Bonson pitching, so they can cleverly manipulate their rotation. Bart Johnson can't pitch on 3 days rest, so we'll pitch game 1, and then there's a day, another game, a day off, another game. Then Bart Johnson will pitch game 5. Wilbur Wood has the opportunity to pitch on 2 days rest, so he'll pitch game 2, 2 days off, then game 4, 2 days off, and game 7 if necessary, with Tom Bradley filling in the other starts, pitching on 3 days rest, and Stan Bonson technically pitching game 1 of the World Series if they get that far. So it's pretty clever manipulation of the White Sox to get Wilbur Wood into 3 of their last 6 games of a best-of-7 series if it goes that far. Let's take a peek at game 1 again. Bart Johnson, Catfish Hunter. And in this one, the White Sox get a run to start off. May singles, Bradford doubles. They score in a Dick Allen ground ball, 1-0. But in the second and third innings, the young kid, Bart Johnson, struggles. It's Reggie, a single, a Bando double to left field, where Carlos May has a +3 arm. So Reggie scores easily. And then Dick Green, RBI single with 2 outs, scoring Bando. 2 batters reached in the third after a strikeout. Again, Bando. He's rolling the same thing here and here. It's double to the left field off the Carlos May card. Again, the +3 arm. So Campaneris and Mike Hegan trot home on the bad throw. So the throwing arm, not a lot you can do if you're the Chi Sox in that situation. 4-1. White Sox got an RBI double by Orta, 4-2. This game moves along to the 6th inning. Solo homer by Rusty Torres, one of 2 Oakland players who hit below 200. Actually, Larry Brown may have hit below 200 also. Let me just double check that. Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, Oakland's got 187 Rusty Torres, 192 Pat Corrales, and 183 Larry Brown on the roster. Doesn't hurt him very much. In the 7th inning, you get a Sal Bando homer. It's a 6-2 game, and Catfish Hunter just does what he's been doing all year. A complete game, 9 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. White Sox are hoping to get a split in Oakland. They lose game 1. A's are up 1-0 after a 6-2 victory. Game 2. And here is the leverage the White Sox wanted. Wilbur Wood versus Al Downing. And actually, the White Sox bury the Oakland A's in the Coliseum. They rout Al Downing. And the really kind of unfortunate part for Al Downing is that 6-8 is double 1-3 single ... And Aparicio hit it, and Henderson hit it, and Bucky Dent hit it a few times, and Melton hit it, and Bradford hit it. I mean, you just nail the same number on the pitcher's card over and over and over and over again. It's just, you're going to lose. And the White Sox pile up inning after inning after inning, and maybe taunting the A's a little bit here, beating them up on their territory, putting the sofa in the clubhouse, since, they're feeling, the White Sox are really feeling themselves here in the Coliseum. Wilbur Wood does throw the 9 innings. Oakland uses all their bullpen just to give them some work. In a game that was over by the 3rd inning. 11-3 final for the White Sox. White Sox, thinking they're punching the A's in the mouth here. They may regret that. Let's go to Comiskey Park. Game 3. This is a classic baseball game. It's Ken Holtzman versus Tom Bradley. In the 1st inning, after 2 outs, Mike Hegan single. Then who else? Reggie Jackson, homer 1/17 on his card. He gets it. 2-zip. Kenny Holtzman puts guys on in the 1st, the 3rd, and 4th. They're left stranded. 4th inning, Joe Rudy, homer off of his own card, and it's 3-0. The 5th inning, the White Sox start to get it going. You get a Buddy Bradford and Bucky Dent single. By the way, Bucky Dent, at this point, had reached base 7 straight times because he got on every time in the rout in Game 2. So pretty bizarre string of success for Bucky Dent here. A Brian Downing sac fly, a single, a walk, RBI ground out Dick Allen, but Bill Melton flies out to leave a couple runners on. It's a 3-2 game, and it stays this way, and it becomes a battle of bullpens. Tom Bradley did enough through 6. He gave up the 3 runs for Bradley did. Not a lot you can do when Jackson and Rudy are hitting homers on their own cards. Bradley walks the leadoff guy in the 7th. So the White Sox go Terry Forster to face Torres, Dick Green, Claudio Washington, Campanera, Segan, and Jackson. Gets them all out. And then Gossage comes in to face Joe Rudy, gives up a hit and 3 strikeouts. So the White Sox pen does what it's been doing all year, slamming the door. But Kenny Holtzman, after 7 innings, giving up 6 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, and 5 strikeouts, with a bunch of righties scheduled, Dick Allen, Bill Melton, Steve Bry, Buddy Bradford, Bucky Dent. The A's go to Raleigh Fingers for a 2-inning save, because there's a day off tomorrow anyway. He'll be rested. And Raleigh Fingers, just like Rich Gossage, got to hand it to both of these guys. You can't touch these guys. He makes quick work of Dick Allen, Bill Melton, Ken Henderson. George Orta pinch hits and strikes out. Tony Muser pinch hits and strikes out. That's your ball game. A gut-wrenching loss for the White Sox. 3-2 in their park after throwing up 11 runs in the Coliseum. We see this all the time in Strat-O-Matic. It's like, don't you wish you had some of those runs you had in the Coliseum in your back pocket, Chicago? They don't. So the A's reclaim home field. It's the possibility for a perfect 4 games is there, where each team wins and loses in each other's park. But it's up to the White Sox to win Game 4 at home. They're going to have Wilbur Wood on 2 days rest against Catfish Hunter. And oh my goodness, folks. Game 4, Oakland 10, White Sox 1. Just a stunning failure by the White Sox. And in Wilbur Wood, poor Wilbur Wood, top of the first, it just falls apart. Campaneris grounds out, Joe Rudy strikes out, and all things are fine and dandy. Mike Hegan gets a single. Reggie rolls single 1 to 8, line out the rest, gets the single in the 40% chance, and then Sal Bando on his card, 3-run homer. Okay, we can maybe live with that. Next batter, Gene Tennis, ground ball to Aparicio with 2 outs. It's a 2-base error, not a 1-base error, a 2-base error on Aparicio. Then you get Larry Brown, that 183 hitter. He gets a hit on his, or should I say Claudio Washington, he gets a hit on his card. Larry Brown gets a walk on his card. And then Pat Corrales gets a single ... on his card. All of this with 2 outs, and it's a 5-run inning. Still, though, there's a lot of baseball left, and if you're the White Sox, you just got to hang in there and chip away. Second inning, they do chip away. Dick Allen leadoff double, Ken Henderson RBI single, and a stolen base. But the next 3 hitters get out. Catfish Hunter. It's 5-1. How do the A's respond after giving up 1 run in the second? They score 2 in the third. You get a walk and a double play, but then inexplicably, Larry Brown gets a single. Larry Brown gets the single. Pat Corrales gets the double off the Wilbur Wood card. Larry Brown and Pat Corrales have reached 4 times. Can't do that. You can't let the 200 hitters do that. Plus, we also saw Rusty Torres, the other sub-200 hitter, get a homer in one of the earlier starts. It's 7-1 at this point, and it's just attrition after that. 7th inning, after 2 outs again, another 2-out rally. 2 outs, 5 runs, 2 outs, 2 runs, 2 outs, a walk to Bando, and a Gene Tennis 2-run homer. Wood is finally pulled after 7 innings. Probably should have been pulled earlier. Wilbur Wood, 7 innings, 11 hits, 9 runs, 7 earned, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Catfish Hunter, another complete game victory. Pitching on 3 days rest with a day off in there. He's pitched 2 of the 4 games. 6 hits, a run, no walks, 8 strikeouts. Big stat there is the no walks, as that's what you need to do when you're given 5- and 6-run leads. You can't give a free pass, and Hunter did not give up a free pass. So that leads us to the A's being up 3-1 for a Game 5 in Chicago. Just a quick look at some stats, because I find these interesting before we play this game. Catfish Hunter is 13-1 now. Just a miraculous year. Raleigh Fingers has 14 saves, giving up just 2 runs in 21 innings. For your White Sox, it is Wilbur Wood's 9-8, 12 complete games, has thrown 144 innings. Bart Johnson 3-4, Tom Bradley 4-5, Bonson 2-2. White Sox bullpen is, are you listening to this, folks? 11-1 with 10 saves. So really, they need to get this thing into this remarkable bullpen. This White Sox bullpen was horrible the last few years. Now it's immaculate. But unfortunately, Gossage, Forster, and company are powerless to do anything if the A's come out of the blocks and just start running away with it. So those are the stats. Game 5 today here in Chicago. It will be Don Wilson for the A's. Don Wilson 72. He was part of the Vita Blue trade we made in the offseason, getting Vita Blue and Al Downing for getting Don Wilson and Al Downing for Vita Blue. 15-game winner, 2.68 ERA, 220 innings for the Astros. And the young Bart Johnson now pitching at home, hopefully with a little more confidence, trying to keep the season alive in a Game 5. I'll take a little break, and we'll be back with Game 5 of the American League Championship Series. All right, here we go with Game 5. If the White Sox win this, we'll broadcast the Game 6 and the Game 7 if necessary. They'll be back in Oakland. Leading off for the A's, it'll be Claudell Washington, 34. Pops to first. Bert Campaneris, 410. Center X. It's Ken Henderson, a 2-6 in center field, makes the catch. And Mike Hegan, 37 is single one to 17 off Bart, is a line out on a 20. Good start for Bart Johnson. Bottom of the first, it's Carlos May. 5-10's a walk. A's Steeler, do you be aggressive here, down 3-1 in the series? Well, you live and die, may as well. And he gets caught stealing there. That's the first mistake for the Chi Sox today. Buddy Bradford, 66, strikes out. And George Orta, 46, 1-1, base hit. 2 outs, man at first for Dick Allen. 47 is a K. Top of 2, it's Reggie, 58, second X off Bart. Orta is a 40-20 at second base. He makes the play. Joe Rudy, 36, single 1 to 4, lines out. Steve Olivares, 56, is a K. Bottom of 2. It's Ken Henderson, 2-8, is a K. Bill Melton, 57, is a K. And Bob Stinson, 312, rolls the first. Don Wilson doing a nice job. We saw him in the divisional round pitch very well against Texas, emerging as the new number 3. That was the big story, that Vita Blue was traded. Hunter moved up to 1. Holtzman went from 3 to 2, and they were looking for replacements at 3 and 4 that didn't have to be as good. And Don Wilson's a heck of a number 3. He'd be a number 1 in Houston. Al Downing would be a 20-game winner for the Dodgers as a number 4. So the Vita Blue trade is now starting to pay dividends for Oakland when they need it in the playoffs. Gene Tennis, 2-9, is hit by the pitch. Rusty Torres, 38. You walked him. You can't do that, Bart Johnson, to a 187 hitter. 2 on for Dick Green. No bunting in the third inning. 37 is a single to left field. Tennis will hold a third. And we got a mess for the Chi Sox here. Bottom part of the lineup. We saw what they did in the previous game. We roll it back up top to Claudell Washington. They're going to play back, hope for a double play. 69 off of Bart is a fly ball to shallow left field. The runners hold up. No tagging up there. Now you got A-bunting Campaneris, so you bring the infield up. 58. Now you get a sac fly into center field, and it's 1-zip. Tennis will score. Torres and Green will stay put for Mike Hegan. 1-9, a strikeout. All in all, pretty decent inning for Bart Johnson. Only 1 run allowed through 3. Bottom of the third. It's talking. Tony Muser, 65, rolls the second. Aparicio, 2-5, pops the third. Carlos May, 68, skies the center field. We go to the fourth. It's Reggie, 2-8. He strikes out. Joe Rudy, 56, flies to left. And Olivares, 2-7, is a K. Olivares was a switch-hitting player for the Giants, the Cubs. Pretty cool Oakland player who could play third base and left field, given Bando and Rudy time off at both spots. And funny part about it, I think his son played for the A's in like the 90s or early 2000s, the other Steve Olivares. So pretty interesting connection there. Bottom of the fourth, it's Buddy Bradford. 210 is hit by the pitch. Batting out of Orta, 6'11". Left X. This is Joe Rudy, a 1-2 in left field. Good luck with that. You're never going to get on base. Dick Allen, 1-8. Let's take a look at Dick Allen's card. Has not had the MVP year that the White Sox thought they were going to get. However, he's done more than enough to at least get in the MVP conversation. He's in the top 5, top 10. And the beauty of it is that the White Sox are so talented, they don't need Dick Allen to carry the team. He's the leader of the team, but he doesn't have to carry them. They are so talented everywhere. He hit 308 and 72, 37 home runs, 99 walks, 28 doubles. 1-8 is double 1 to 5. It's a base hit. Bradford ends up at third. You have runners in the corners, 1 out, down 1 zip. And Oakland's going to bring the infield up to protect the lead and shutout for Ken Henderson. 1-7, let's take a look at Ken. Coming over from the Giants, has a brilliant year in 74. 20 home runs, a 292 average, a 2 B stealer, -2 arm, 5 tool players, 66 walks as well, 35 doubles. Just was not consistent enough through the decade, but he had some big years in there. 1970, 1974. Those 2 years, outliers you might say, but they were brilliant seasons. And 1-7, 1-1, he gets a single ... We got a tie game. You got speed, Dick Allen at third, and Ken Henderson at first. The infield will hold, but they're going to play back, hoping for a Bill Melton double play ball. So here's the pitch and a 1-1 tie to Bill Melton. 2-6, and there it is. It's ground ball short A. And Oakland played into that perfectly. Melton hits into a double play, hit into a lot of them, and that's the end of the inning. But the game is tied at 1 apiece. As we go to the 5th, it'll be Gene Tennis. 2-9, hit by pitch again. Same thing he did there. Leaning into one, taking one for the team as he was known to do. Rusty Torres. 3-6, single 1 to 5, and he lines out. Now, yeah, most hitters, that chance will be an automatic hit, but not when you hit 187. And this time, Bart Johnson gets him out. Dick Green. 3-6. Also, on that roll, he strikes out. Back up top to Claudell Washington. 1-5. Let's take a look at Claudell's card for Oakland in 75. A full season. 308, 10 home runs, 620 plate appearances. This is going to be the high batting average until, my goodness, the mid to late 80s when he's on his 10th or 11th team after stints with the White Sox and Rangers, and Atlanta Braves and New York Mets and so forth. Bounces around. Teams taking a chance on him. 1-5 here is homer 1 to 9, double the rest, and it'll be a 2-base hit. Tennis. Making the big turn, 11 runner, 12-13. He is going to run on an 11 versus Ken Henderson, and he scores on a 3. Big break for Oakland. Tennis scoring from first on a double. Now it'll be Campaneris in a 2-1 game. 58, flies to center. Oakland taking the chance there, wanting to close this thing out in Chicago. Get this game series done sooner than later. Bottom of the 5th. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
All right, White Sox. They got 5 innings left to get the lead in a victory. It'll be Bob Stinson. 4-4 off of Don Wilson's card. It's gone. Just like that in one swing. Bob Stinson, first pitch fastball. He hits it over the right field wall, and we're tied at 2. Tony Muser, 46 off Wilson, 1-1, base hit. They found the column. Aparicio. You do a hit and run here. Now that the game is tied, you got runner at first, and Wilson dominates righties. I think we're going to do a hit and run with Aparicio. A 6 is rolled. The runner will move up. You got a runner in scoring position with 1 out. Up top to Carlos May. 2-8 for Carlos is a base hit into center field. Do you run Muser with 1 out? 12. You got a -2 arm? No. With 1 out, they're going to think about it. They're going to have runners on the corners with speed and Carlos May. Buddy Bradford, the A's are again going to play it back and hold just like they did in the previous inning. But Bradford doesn't hit into as many double plays as Melton does. But they're going to play the same strategy in a 2-2 tie. Buddy Bradford should stay out of a double play, get a fielder's choice or sac fly to give the Chi Sox a lead. Here's the pitch to Buddy Bradford. 67 is a strikeout off of Don Wilson's card. And with 2 outs, it's George Orta, the .316 hitting second baseman. 1-9, let's take a look at that card. And 74 of Orta, 10 home runs along there, 565 plate appearances. We've been using him in a platoon. You don't have to use him in a platoon. We just have that luxury with Bucky Dent available to play second and short. Orta's decent against lefties, but he destroys righties, folks. I mean, that's like a 330, 340 card. Setting the table for Dick Allen behind him. 1-9 is a clean single to center field. The runner will score. Carlos May will not get thrown out at third base with 2 outs. And the Chi Sox have a 3-2 lead. It's Dick Allen. 58 is a strikeout. Well, now the White Sox have a lead, and we're late in the game. We talked about that bullpen. We'll be watching Bart Johnson carefully, particularly the lefties. It's almost tempting to take him out now, but you have to have trust in this kid. He's a good pitcher. It's Hegan and Reggie. And they're going to have at least 2 more at-bats in this game anyway. So I don't think you quick hook him here. So Bart Johnson will pitch the 6th inning in a 3-2 game. Here's the pitch to Mike Hegan. 58 is second X. This is Orta. He's a 4 at second base, but he makes the play. Good defense there. Now you got Reggie. 57's a strikeout. Big outs for Bart Johnson, Joe Rudy. 64, short X. This is Aparicio. Had his problems yesterday, but today he makes the play. It stays 3-2, bottom of the 6th. Don Wilson and Bart Johnson are both starter 7s. It'll be Ken Henderson. 67 is a K. Bill Melton, 110, flies to left. And Bob Stinson, 112, is a low max. Looking at this lineup, turning over for Oakland as we go to the 7th, Forster will predictably come in for Torres, Green, Claude L. Campaneris, Hegan, Jackson, and then probably Gossage after that. You're going to have the righty Rudy and the righty Tennis up, so Bart will pitch to those guys, and then we'll see what happens. Actually, Rudy made the last out. My bad on that. So Onaveris and then Tennis. So he'll pitch through the Gene Tennis in a 3-2 game in the top of the 7th inning. Before that, though, here is Steve Onaveris. 32 is a ground to the 3rd. And here is Gene Tennis. 45 off of Bart Johnson is a connection. This double 1 to 10. It's a double for Gene Tennis. And that is the moment where we lift Bart Johnson at the right time. He cannot lose. He exits with a base runner and a 1-run lead. And we go to the brilliant bullpen. You're going to have to beat a White Sox bullpen that's been outstanding this year. Struggled in previous years. 6 1/3 for Bart Johnson, responsible for the tie run. Gene Tennis at second base. And it will indeed be Terry Forster. And the A's will think about a pinch hitter for Torres or a potential bunt. Hate bunting a guy from second to third on the road to tie with 1 out. That's a bad move altogether. So it's a choice of pinch hitters here. And or you let Torres swing away against Terry Forster. First things first, let's give you Terry Forster, get him announced into this game, and show you his card in the stats. So Forster, 6-5 with a 2 1/4 earned run average in 1972 at 100 innings. That's 0 home runs allowed. And they might actually just let Torres bat here. The A's. I mean, they're up 3-1 in the series. And the pinch hitting options, I mean, obviously Bando's a pinch hitting option. If you're going to do it, you should do it now. So they will. I guess they'll do that. So they're going to move all this defense around. Sal Bando will be announced as the pinch hitter for a center fielder, which means Claudel Washington will have to go into the outfield. Bando will go to third. Ontiveros, or you could even put Ontiveros out there. So Sal Bando will be announced as the pinch hitter. We'll take a look at Sal Bando's card of 73. He on the bench to start a game. That's how deep the Oakland team is, because Bart Johnson's very good against righties. 680 plate appearances, a 286 average, 29 homers for Bando in 73. His best year probably since 69. 69 A's had some really great performances. But Baltimore was the dominant team in the American League in that era. So Terry Forster against Sal Bando with a runner at second and 1 out. Here is the pitch. We got to put a S. Hold on. I'm going to put SB here for Sal Bando so I know where he comes in. And here is the pitch. 68 is a strikeout. And it's number 9 hitter Dick Green. He will swing away. Here's the pitch to Dick Green. 1-8 is a fly to left. And the inning's over. So Bando will play third. Claudia Washington will play center. And Ontiveros will be the DH. We have a free substitution rule in our league, unlike the pitcher moves in for the DH rule from the American League, just because our rosters are short. Stretch time in Chicago. They have a 3-2 lead. We've been enjoying Curtis Mayfield's 1970 Curtis LP, featuring The Makings of You, Move On Up, Give It Up, We the People Who Are Darker Than Blue. Brilliant LP, Curtis Mayfield. Landmark performance. Back to the game, bottom of the 7th. Don Wilson will continue. It'll be Tony Muser for the White Sox. 1-2. Ground ball to first plus an injury. Interesting. So Muser has to exit the game. Good defensive first baseman. Not a big deal. Dick Allen will take over at first. And that gives us an opportunity to get Steve Bry into the game defensively and make Carlos May the designated hitter. And that's what they'll do in that substitution. 1 out. Louis Aparicio. 2-9 grounds a short. And it's Carlos May. 37's a walk. Do you attempt a stolen base with a lead? Sure. And he's out again on a 17. Gene Tennis having a day. He's walked twice and scored both Oakland runs, doubled, and thrown 2 guys out stealing. So what a day for Gene Tennis. As we go to the 8th, Terry Forster will continue to face Claudel, Campaneris, Hegan, and Jackson. A tall task before we get to Gossage to finish this thing. And it'll be Claudel Washington had the big RBI double earlier. Here's the pitch to Claudel. 45 off Forster is triple, 1-19, double the rest. Off of Forster's card, it's a triple for Claudel Washington. Oh my. You got the tie run at third with nobody out. The infield has to come up for Bert Campaneris. 111, right beat question mark. Here we go. He's going to try it. Claudel, 17 runner, 18-19. Bradford, a -2 arm. Makes it a 17. Here's the throw. Here's the play at the plate. And he scores on a 3 easily. We got a 3-3 tie. Tough break for Forster. You know, I mentioned no home runs allowed in 100 innings, but he's got a pretty big and ugly triple 1-19 on 4-5 against lefties, and triple 1-10 on 4-4 versus righties. So that's the unfortunate bit there. In a tie game, and in a game that could go many, many, many innings here, Forster is in relief 3, Gossage in relief 4. They like Lemons and Garman as well. Oakland can also go deep in the bullpen. We could be here a while, folks. It'll be Mike Hegan. 2-8 is a single. Forster struggling with 1 out. It'll be a Reggie Jackson. 57's a K, and with 2 outs, you have Rudy, Ontiveros, Tennis. Do you leave Forster in there? I think in a tie game, you leave him in there, because this thing could, like I say, go extras. And we do have Ontiveros on deck. Rudy, not that big a home run hitter. He did have 19, actually, but it's the A's. It's tough to make the right choice here. They'll pitch to Joe Rudy with a runner at first and 2 outs with Olivares on deck. Here is the pitch to Joe Rudy. 34 lines to short. So that means practically Forster will start the 9th inning versus Olivares unless Oakland makes a move defensively to get Olivares out of there. This is where the White Sox could wear out the Oakland late in the game because you've got Larry Brown and Pat Corrales on the bench who are they're pretty bad. We saw them reach base 4 times inexplicably in the previous game, but their strat cards are pretty bad here. So we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Don Wilson's a starter 7. We took him off the hook for a loss. Normally when we do that, we also take the pitcher out. But the A's, already up 3-1 in the series, and wanting to gain some sort of a bullpen advantage by having all 4 of their guys still capable of throwing a lot of innings, whereas Forster's already gone an inning and 2/3, they'll leave Wilson in there, at least to the righty Bradford, leading off in the bottom of the 8th. Here's the pitch to Buddy Bradford. 35 is a walk, and now the wheels are spinning, and I just don't think you want to face Orta. And unfortunately, that will be the hook for Don Wilson. He goes 7 in that batter, and now he is responsible for a loss if that runner scores. But Don Wilson will be pulled in the 8th, and they'll go to their lefty, Dave Hamilton, with George Orta up. So let's introduce Dave Hamilton. 74 Oakland A, 7-4, 3.15 ERA in 117 innings. In a tie game of 3-3, comes on in the 8th. George Orta. And you go for the pinch hitter here? I don't know. I don't see going for the pinch hitter here. Worst case, if I want to, I could bunt Orta and get a good base runner to second base. And it's only the 8th inning, not the 9th inning. So Orta will step in the box. I think he's going to drop a bunt down because Hamilton's tough against lefties. So Orta's going to bunt here. The bunt is a 6. It's a good bunt by Orta. Smart move to preserve his stay in the game. He'll continue to play. And Hamilton's the only lefty reliever the A's have. So the lead run is at second with 1 out, and you got to deal with Dick Allen, who crushes lefties, Henderson, and Melton. If you want to keep Hamilton going, you could set up a double play with an intentional walk here to Dick Allen and deal with Henderson, Melton, and Stinson. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to treat Dick Allen like the MVP he was in 1972. They're going to the boos come down as their superstar gets intentionally walked to set up a double play with first and second and 1 out. And it'll turn it over to Ken Henderson. We saw his card earlier. I mean, he's outstanding, but he's better against righties. So Hamilton will face Henderson here with 2-1 and 1 out. And here's the pitch. 65. He walked him. He walked Henderson to load the bases, and now you got Bill Melton. Now you're really hoping for a Bill Melton double play. The reality is Hamilton's not that good against righties, particularly with the bases loaded here. This looks like another pitching change. So it will be. Yeah, they're going to... It just didn't work out for Hamilton there. He got the sac fly, or the sac bunt, but then 2 walks afterwards. So Hamilton will leave. They're going to go to Jim Todd as a righty to get righties out. Jim Todd for Oakland in 75. 8-3, 2.29 ERA in 122 innings. And the plan to outlast the White Sox bullpen is not working presently. Jim Todd in the 8th with the bases loaded and 1 out. They'll bring their infield up. Or do they? Did they play back for a Bill Melton double play? Let's look closely at his card. You know, there's not a great opportunity to bring the infield up here. As far as a ground ball B that gets the force out at the plate. They're going to play back for a double play. Plus, it means that the plus is also a double play. So, playing back in a tie game with the bases loaded and 1 out. You can do odd things like that when you're up 3-1 in the series. That's what the A's are doing here. Here's the pitch to Bill Melton. 1-8 for Bill Melton. Let's take a look at the card of 1973. Bill Melton, the last great year of his career, a .276 hitter with 20 home runs, 75 walks, homer, grand slam, 1-17, double the rest, and it's gone. And the A's have shown, if you're not Raleigh Fingers, you're not doing that well out of the pen. This could last, this could linger, this could be the spark the White Sox need to make the comeback. Down 3-1. A grand slam by Bill Melton, and the White Sox fans are in a frenzy here. They got a 7-3 lead. And it's Bob Stinson. 2-9 grounds to second base. Any defense to add to the 9th? Yeah, Bucky Dent will come in to play second base for George Orta. Defensively, Brian Downing, sure, we'll have him play catcher for Bob Stinson. All the White Sox defense is in. As we go to the 9th inning, and we're just not going to have any mysteries here. We're going to Gossage right now. Rest Forster a little bit. Inning and 2/3. That's not a lot of work. He would be available for Game 6 if needed. So Rich Gossage will come on in the 9th inning here. Gossage, the Fireman of the Year, Cy Young candidate, Rookie of the Year. Just a brilliant performance. Led all relievers in innings pitch. In 75, he was actually 9-8 with a 1.84 ERA and 142 innings. In our league, he led all relievers in innings pitched. He comes on in the 9th with a 4-run lead. And he will face Steve Oliveros. 5-10 is a walk. He walks Oliveros. And now you got to deal with Tennis, who's had a perfect day. 38, you walk Gene Tennis. Oh boy, there's a murmur in the crowd. It's 2 on, nobody out. And you got Sal Bando. 1-8 is a strikeout. Now you got Dick Green. On the bench, Larry Brown and Pat Corrales are inconsequential. Here is the pitch to Dick Green. 65, grounder to second base. The runners move up with 2 outs. It's back up top to Claudell Washington, who's had a decent day with the RBI double and the run-scoring triple. Here's the pitch to Claudell. 1-4 is a roller to second base, and they go scoreless in the 9th with a couple walks, and the White Sox win Game 5, 7-3. So, we will be back with Game 6 and 7 if necessary from the Coliseum. Unfortunately, Don Wilson is the losing pitcher. The first run charged to him, and the winning pitcher is Terry Forster, and Gossage will get the save. So we'll be back with Game 6 and Game 7 if necessary, so stay tuned. All right, it's Game 6 in Oakland. It'll be Tom Bradley for the White Sox. Bradley was 15-14 with a 2.98 ERA in 72 and 260 innings, going against Ken Holtzman. Same season. Probably dueled each other down the stretch, we think. 19-11, 251 ERA, 265 innings. Nice seasons for both pitchers. However, Bradley's a starter 6. Holtzman's a starter 8. That will invite the White Sox to go to their bullpen if needed. And leading off for the White Sox will be on-base machine catcher against lefties, Brian Downing. 65, skies at center. Louis Aparicio, 4-4, lines a second. Carlos May, 1-7 is a K. Bottom of 1, Claudell Washington. 2-7, grounds to first. Bert Campaneris, 53. For Campaneris is center X. You get the 2E6 in center. Makes the play. Mike Hegan, 34, a strikeout. Top of the second. Dick Allen, 4-4 off Holtzman, lines second. Bill Melton with a big grand slam in the previous game. 2-8 is a single. He's hot. Ken Henderson, 57. Short X. This is Campaneris 2E27. Makes the double play turn. And it'll be the bottom of the second. Reggie Jackson, 47, is a K. Bando, 46, a K. Steve Onivera, 67, is a walk. Gene Tennis, 2-4, grounds a short. Into the third. It's Steve Bry, 3-6. This is going to be homer 1-2 double off his card. It's a two-base hit. Buddy Bradford, 1-3, short. Runner stays at second. That ground ball does not advance the runner. That was a mistake. Bucky Dent, 3-6. Let's take a look at this guy. Bucky, who had 7 straight hits in this series at one point. He hits 248 and 73, but he has the ability to play both second and short, and pretty symmetrical both ways as well. He's the third option in the middle infield behind Orta and Aparicio. 3-6, double 1 at 6. That's an RBI single. The Chi Sox have a lead. Brian Downing, 58, left, and with 2 outs. Aparicio, 2-9, walks. Big moment here, Carlos May, 2 on, 2 outs. 45 off Holtzman is a fly to left. 1-0. Rusty Torres, he's getting a lot of playing time. We thought he would be mostly a backup defensive replacement. But it's deemed because he's a switch hitter that Bart Johnson and Bradley and Stan Bonson aren't particularly good against left-handed batters. So we've seen a reasonably steady dose of Rusty Torres, warts and all. Has a homer in the series. 66 off Bradley is a K. Dick Green, 57 is a K. And back up top to Claudel Washington, 38. Center. Seems like the A's didn't do a lot in Game 5. And they're stalling again in Game 6. You don't want to invite the White Sox into a Game 7 because they'll have Wilbur Wood out there for the 3rd time in 6 games, even though they tagged Wood last time out. You're setting yourself up for disaster, Oakland, if you don't take these Chi Sox out as soon as you can. Dick Allen leading off in the 4th. 55 off Holtzman is homer 1, double. It's a 2-base hit. Bill Melton, 1-4, left. Ken Henderson, 3-10, left. And Steve Bry scored the first run, and he bounces one to short. Campaneris makes the play. Good pitching today in the Oakland area, Bay Area Coliseum. Bert Campaneris, 2-4, bouncer to short. Mike Hegan, 38, is a base hit. And here comes Reggie, 67 is a walk. Didn't want any parts of that. 2 on, 1 out, and it's going to be the right-hander Bando. 68 is a K. Lefty has a single chance in that role, which brings us to switch hitter Steve Onivera. 110 is a fly to right. Bradley's put a few men on in 4 frames, 3 of them. And we go to the 5th. Buddy Bradford, 64. Third X, Bando, right? 2E22. Makes the play. Somewhat odd that Bandy and Rudy, one of the two, is on the bench in a general part of this series. That might change if we go to Game 7. I mean, they're stars, and you just can't go with the lefty-righty platoon stuff. And Oakland's kind of stumbling a little bit here, trying to close this thing out. Bucky Dent, 67, is a pop to first. And Brian Downing, and he has not reached base. He's popped to first. Bottom of the 5th. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
KL 1-0 affair. Gene Tennis. Having a nice series. 66, second X. This is Dent. He's a 334. Not as good as you might think. And that's a base hit off of Bucky Dent. Not significantly better than George Orta, frankly. Here is Rusty Torres. You can't let this guy beat you if you're the White Sox. 39. Let's take a look at the card. We haven't seen it much. Yeah, you just can't do this. I mean, the guy hits 187. We've already had a game where Larry Brown and Pat Corrales reached base 5 out of 6 times with their 192 and 183 batting averages. This team is absolutely loaded. You can't let their scrubs get to you. And 39 for Rusty Torres is a walk. I mean, he had 150 at-bats for the Cleveland Indians in 74 with this card. Only Made the roster because he's a 2 in center field in replace of Bill North, who is not here. He is on signed by Seattle in the expansion. So it's 2 on, and it's Dick Green. 1-6, Dick Green. Let's take a look at his card. You're seeing the bottom. Man, I tell you, can't be doing this. 1973 Dick Green. It's 262. Has a whole closet full of World Series rings, I guess, and all the years he's there. Well, 72 he gets hurt. 74 he gets 213. In between is this year of a 262 card with power versus lefties. Had a big 3-run double to knock out the Orioles earlier in the postseason. 1-6, single dot, and the A's have tied the game. With more to come here, with runners on the corners and nobody out. Quick hook for Bradley. You have lefty, righty, lefty, lefty. It'll come down to how he pitches against Campaneris, I would assume. They're going to bring the infield up for Claudel. 4-11, left X. Carlos May, did I know? It's Steve Bry at 2E6. And it's a fly ball, B, sac fly. Well, not a lot you can do there. And it's 2-1. Runner at first for Campaneris. 2-8, Campaneris singles to right field. Does Dick Green want to go coast to coast? No, he's just a 10 runner. Big moment here. Big moment here. This is the White Sox season we're looking at possibly here. We have a 2-1 game, but you got lefty-lefty. And we do have Wilbur Wood available for Game 7. He'd probably go deep. It'd be a quick hook, but look, Bradley's a starter 6 anyway, so he's gone. It's as simple as that, folks. 4 1/3. Not, they're going to make the White Sox bullpen go into overdrive. And if they can't keep it close for the offense to catch up, then that's the way it goes. We're going to go with Dave Lemons to face the lefties, Hegan and Jackson. Anaveras and Torres, possibly. Dave Lemons had a nice 1972 with a 2.94 ERA in 95 innings. Gets lefties out pretty well. Starter 6, starter 5, relief 3. Dave Lemons coming on in the 5th inning. Early call because of the dire situation the Chi Sox found themselves in. We'll face Mike Hegan. First and second. 1 out. Here's the pitch to Mike Hegan. 2-9 is single dot. Loading the bases for Reggie Jackson. Let's take a look at the double play possibilities here. No incentive to bringing the infield up. They're going to play back, and they want to strike out or a double play out of Reggie Jackson with Dave Lemons. And here is the pitch. 69 off Lemons is a ground ball, second C. Well, that'll score another run. Everybody moves up on a slow roller. They get Reggie at first, and it's 3-1. Second and third, 2 outs. You have a base open for Bando and then Anaveras. And Anaveras hits around 265, 270 against lefties. It's not a big drop-off. The question is, who do you want pitching to him? And we got a lot of baseball left in this one. We just can't be playing situationally in the 5th inning. So we're going to, in a 3-1 game, we're going to be pitching to Sal Bando with runners at second and third and 2 outs. Here's the pitch to Bando. 49 is second X. And this is the guy who started this mess, Bucky Dent, a 3.34 second baseman. And he makes the play this time on the X, which is rather surprising. It's a high E rating, but he still makes the out on the X. So the damage is limited to 3-1. And the other part, intentionally walking anybody on Oakland, you're setting yourself up for disaster because all this team does is walk. And you intentionally walk a guy, and then 2 batters later, you're walking in a run. So we'll go to the 6. 3-1. Is this enough for Kenny Holtzman to get his Oakland A's to the World Series for the second time in 3 years? It'll be Louis Aparicio. 2-5, lines out the first. Carlos May, 47 is a K, and with 2 outs, it's Dick Allen. 66, Dick Allen with a base hit. And it's Bill Melton, who had the big home run in Game 5. 36 for Bill Melton is single, 1 of 3. He lines out on an 11. It's the Bats dooming the Chi Sox today. It was the Wilburwood pitching a couple days ago that doomed the team. White Sox pitchers have done a decent job through 5. We go to the 6th. Could be a pinch hitter for Olivares. It will be. This is where we get Joe Rudy into the game. Joe Rudy will bat for Steve Olivares to take over in left field. Olivares only had 2 plate appearances today. Joe Rudy, 1-6. Let's take a look at Joe's card. Perfect time to roll that number. Joe Rudy in 72. Probably his best year during the dynasty. 19 homers, 305 average. The great defensive play against Cincinnati in the World Series at the wall, crashing into the wall. A 1-2 in left field. A bunter, B hit and runner. Out of an offensive, you generally don't even want to bunter hit and run when he's in the box, but he has that capability if you want to use it. 1-6, homer, 1-4, double, and he just misses on a 5. Hits off the top of the wall. Rudy's at second base. Now you got to question, how far do we go with Lemons? Tennis is a little bit of trouble. He'll probably get a unintentional walk. But then you have Torres, Rusty Torres, Dick Green, and then Claudel Washington. So I think we have to have Lemons pitch through to those guys. Gene Tennis. 58 is a K. Now you got Rusty Torres. 65, second C. Joe Rudy's at third with 2 outs, and it's Dick Green. Had the big hit earlier, the previous inning. Here's the pitch to Dick Green. 1-8 against a lefty is a fly to left field, and Lemon survives the leadoff double. Just a 3-1 game, but the White Sox are struggling at the plate. They're pressing. Into the 7th we go. All the defense for Oakland's in there, adding Joe Rudy to the outfield. Top of the 7th, it'll be Ken Henderson. 4-10, lines the first. We have a long leash for Holtzman. We like him. So even if he puts some guys on, we're not going to quick hook him. He and Hunter are in a special category in this Oakland staff. Bullpen's pretty much reserved for Don Wilson and Al Downing. Here's Steve Bry. 3-5. Let's take a look at the Steve Bry card, a free agent brought in the offseason. 73 Minnesota Twins, 6 homers and a 263 average, and 200 and 300 and some plate appearances. Chi Sox have gotten a lot of mileage out of some free agents, including Bob Stinson, who wasn't with the Chi Sox, Mike Garman, a relief pitcher who was with the Cardinals, and Steve Bry, a guy who should have been on the division rival Twins. But 3-5 is an automatic home run. We have a 3-2 game. Number 8 hitter, Buddy Bradford. 4-10, lines the first. And with 2 outs, it's Bucky Dent. 2-11, pops to shortstop. Another fine game with these 2 teams. Each team has a blowout, and then the other 3 times, they've been classic baseball games. Bottom of the 7th. 7th inning stretch here in Oakland. As we are known to do, we always flip on the Shuggy. Shuggy Otis's Inspiration Information. This is a double LP with Wings of Love, put together into one incredible double disc set. They were recorded in separate intervals there. Inspiration came out in the early 70s. Wings of Love I believe that was put together with the Talking Heads people. Like David Byrne helped put this thing together in like late 70s, early 80s. Anyway, bottom of the 7th. Lemons has pitched an inning and 2/3. You've got reasonable mileage out of him. He stopped a rally, but he has given up a couple hits. We've got Claudel Washington. If he gets him out, we'll give him an invitation to Campaneris. We'll see. We'll go. Here it is. Claudel Washington leads off. 37's a K. Now, if you're pitching to Campaneris, you're most likely going to pitch to Hegan and Reggie. As Lemons is as pretty good against lefties as Terry Forster would be. So, Campaneris. But 2-7 Campaneris singles. Now, if Hegan can't hit and run in this situation, Brian Downing's got a -1 arm. I don't think Habanera's going to steal. We're going to have the lefty-lefty matchup and see what happens here. Mike Hegan. 310, flies to right. And with 2 outs, Reggie always had success against lefties and righties in his career. He will swing away here against Lemons. Here's the pitch. 37, he strikes out. So Dave Lemons, I think I'm going to call it a day for him. He's got righties coming up the next inning. Did a decent job. 4 1/3. He actually went 8/3. 7 innings from the 2 pitchers, giving up just 3 runs. Tom Bradley and the long man Dave Lemons. That's not a bad gig. As we go into the 8th, and the White Sox are running out of time. They got to get a run with 6 outs, possibly in their season. Brian Downing leads off. 4-11 is left X. And what did we just do? We put Joe Rudy in left field. He's a 1-E2. Virtually impossible to get on base. There's the first out. Now Raleigh Fingers will get up. And the White Sox, the longer they keep Holtzman in, the longer, unfortunately, George Orta and Tony Musa are stuck on the bench. So they want to ride Holtzman as long as they can. Aparicio, he hits lefties very well. Let's take a look at the Aparicio card. We'll see before he swings. You see, he's actually at the top of the lineup against lefties because that's a nice batting average over there. And all they need is a base runner in this situation, and Aparicio is a great base stealer. So this is actually advantageous to the Chi Sox to swing away here. For Louis Aparicio, 39 is single, 1-11, but he lines out on a 20. And with 2 outs, it'll be Carlos May. Let's take a look at Carlos. The Robin to Dick Allen's Batman in 1972. What a fantastic, the best years for each guy. But what a great year for Carlos May when you add the speed, the walks. Terrible throwing arm, but we'll ignore that for now. Both men hit .308 exactly in 1972. Here's the pitch to Carlos May. 56 off of Holtzman is your base hit. Now, oh boy, I just don't think you want to attempt a stolen base here. You're not going to risk any chance for Dick Allen to get his licks in. Have we looked at Dick Allen's card? Let's take a look at Dick Allen's card if we haven't. We probably looked at it in earlier games. Your 1972 American League MVP. This could very well possibly be the final at-bat with this card, until he has to move into one of his future cards, of which he'll have some more good years coming up. But this is the year, 1972. Dick Allen with a tie run at first and 2 outs. The plus opens up on his card against lefties. So here is the pitch. 58, Kenny Holtzman gets him the sky to deep left field in cavernous Oakland, and the inning is over. Kenny Holtzman, a solo homer, and an RBI single by Dent. And he's done his part trying to get the A's to a World Series. Bottom of the 8th inning. And you just got to do it here. It's all over otherwise. Rich Gossage is coming on in the 8th inning. And he'll pitch as long as he needs to at this point for the rest of this game, which could be 1 inning or it could be 4 or 5. Who knows? But you want to go out with your best, and Gossage is that. Rich Gossage in 1975, not a rookie, but it was the first year that we brought him into the league because he was ineffective prior to that. So we give him a rookie status, and he and Freddie Lynn both helped their teams into the playoffs as rookies, first-year players. 9-8, 184 ERA, 142 innings. And in the carryover league, leads all relievers innings pitch, has a sparkling 0.76 earned run average in the carryover league to this point. Oh my goodness. It'll be Sal Bando leading off in the bottom of the 8th. 2-6, Sal Bando is single 1-13, but he lines out on a 17. It helps if Gossage can get some breaks also. All right, here is Joe Rudy. He had a double in his pinch hitting moment and was stranded. 1-2 is hit by the pitch. He hit Joe Rudy. That had to hurt with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball from Gossage. Decent base runner. He's a 13. Now you have Gene Tennis at a nice series, drawing walks, his wheels. He's actually scored from first on a double in this series. Here's the pitch to Gene Tennis. 68 off Gossage is a K, and with 2 outs, it's Rusty Torres, the 187 hitter. 65. It's an X. It's a short X, but Aparicio's a 2E24. He makes the play defensively. So here we are, a nice, well-played game with the home team winning by a run in the 9th. Bill Melton leads off, and I think we're just going to do it. We're just going to call it a day for Holtzman. We have seen Gossage and Fingers. They both went to the All-Star game. They both having outstanding seasons. And it's a blinking contest. Who blinks first? So this could be it. You have to score a run off of Raleigh Fingers or your season is over. And that's how this thing is going to finish. Raleigh Fingers. He's actually a relief starter, believe it or not, in 1973. 7-8, 192 ERA in 127 innings. It's Melton, Henderson, Steve Bry, or a pinch hitter. I mean, in theory, you could go to George Orta or Muser for one of those guys. Melton has plenty of power, so I'm definitely not going to pinch hit for him. Here's the pitch to Bill Melton. 54. By the way, I know you're wondering, yep, that's a homer off Kenny Holtzman. But we made the move to Fingers, and it's a fly ball to left field. So the A's are making all the moves against the second-best team in the American League, the White Sox, trying to finish them in 6 games. It'll be Ken Henderson. We'll look at Ken one more time. Ken Henderson. Switch hitting center fielder with range, arm, speed, walks, extra base hits. 5-tool guy, and we need a tool right now, do the White Sox. We need a walk. A double, a triple. Huh? We need something for the Chi Sox. Here's the pitch to Ken Henderson. 2-7 Henderson. It's going to be tough. It's single 1 to 10. He gets it on a 2. So you get the base hit. Big break there. And you've got speed and a base stealer. This is going to be an interesting game here now. You are holding the runner on. Do you try and get him in a scoring position with a risky stolen base attempt? And in an interesting maneuver here, yeah, this is the no-brainer. We are actually going to pinch hit for Steve Bry with George Orta, and we have a plan here for whatever Oakland decides. Mound visit. Raleigh's not going anywhere. But even if they decided to take Raleigh out and bring in a lefty to face Orta, we'd have Orta hit and run. So, with that being said, let's take a look at Orta's card. 74, 316 hitter, 10 home runs, 31 doubles. A double could score the Speedy Henderson, by the way. Yeah, this is what the White Sox wanted. It's just a little bit of leverage here. So, yeah, you either pitch to him or bring in the lefty and do a hit and run. But then you'd have the lefty against Bradford and Dent. And frankly, no. It's Raleigh Fingers. We're not going to defy history and just take him out of a closing situation. So here's the pitch to George Orta. 49 is a walk. He pitched around him. He wasn't pitching the contact for the dangerous Orta. Now the White Sox can have an interesting moves here coming up. Let's take a look at number 8 hitter, Buddy Bradford. This is what they've wanted all along, a situation where he's not facing the lefty Holtzman anymore. Buddy Bradford, the reverse platoon, we call it. He's only a 238 hitter because of the percentages. 41% against lefties, where he's a dismal hitter. But against righties, he's a slugger, like Raleigh Fingers is a righty. So this plays right into the White Sox hands with runners at first and second with 1 out. Worst case, a strikeout. Stay out of a double play. And then we'll live to the number 9 hitter, which will probably be Tony Muser or Bob Stinson. So it's about as good as it's going to get for the White Sox. 2 on, 1 out, top of the 9th inning. Here's the pitch to Buddy Bradford. 49 is a strikeout. So it's 2 outs, and it comes down to Bucky Dent. And there will be a pitching change. Not a pitching change, a pinch hitter for Bucky Dent. The same template card exists for Tony Muser. You have Brian Downing. If you get back-to-back walks, Brian Downing, base a little walk ties the game. They take that. they take that with the White Sox with Aparicio and May following. So you could go catcher with Stinson here versus Muser. Stinson gets on base more than Muser. Oh, it's a tough call here. Which guy to pinch hit? Stinson has that extra base hit available to score the run from second. Muser has singles, but there's a reasonable chance if it's hit the right field, Reggie throw him out at the plate. I'm going with Stinson. Stinson's had some big hits this year. So Bob Stinson will be called on as the pinch hitter versus Tony Muser. Could be a dubious decision. Let's take a look at Bob Stinson's card. Again, and the thought being if they went to Muser, they theoretically could go to the lefty Hamilton, as both Muser and Stinson aren't as good against lefties. But Bob Stinson, plenty of walks and power. And he will swing away. Excuse me. 2 on, 2 outs in the 9th inning. Here's the pitch to Bob Stinson. 59. It's going to be off the fingers card. And it's a ground ball to second base. And that'll end the game. Tough, terrible break for the White Sox. The last 2 batters, they roll on Riley Fingers' card. You got very little chance at that point. Ord, I got a walk-off Fingers card. Henderson got a single chance off his own card, but just not enough offense on a road game facing elimination, and that will do it. Raleigh Fingers and the A's are celebrating a return trip to the World Series. Break it up for the A's. They have been clearly the best team in the league all year, and as great as the White Sox have been, and the White Sox have improved mightily, Oakland has improved mightily. So there's still a little bit of a talent gap between these two squads, and it ended in 6 games. 3-2 final. We'll just take this right to the post game. Give the White Sox their flowers. They fought hard. They had 2 one-run losses that could have gone either way in this series, or they might be going to the World Series right now. Fingers and Gossage, virtually untouchable. They put a couple guys on base, but nobody scored. Fingers, a hit, a walk, and a K. Kenny Holtzman, Catfish Hunter. What do you say? You know, they beat up, the White Sox beat up on Al Downing. In Don Wilson's start, they beat up on Jim Todd and Dave Hamilton. But Hunter, Holtzman, and Raleigh Fingers, they were enough to get to the World Series. 7 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Gossage a walk and a K in his inning. Dave Lemons did a decent job in relief. Mike Hegan's a .329 hitter with a pretty symmetrical card. One of the 3 hits allowed by Lemons in 2 2/3. Didn't allow a run to score. Inherited runner did. No walks, 3 strikeouts. Early hook on Tom Bradley. Had to be perfect. He wasn't perfect. He only gave up 3 hits in this game. A single in the 4th, a couple singles in the 5th. But it just goes to show you, even when you have a lousy bench and lousy guys, I mean, Oakland's basically an 8-man roster. I mean, you got Rusty Torres, Larry Brown, Pat Corrales, Steve Olivares, Dick Green on this team. And you have the highest winning percentage in the sport right now. So they're doing it, getting contributions from unlikely places. It is 4 walks for Bradley, but that'll be, you know, that's what happens when you go against Oakland. Actually, one of those 3 walks for Bradley, my bad. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strikeouts. Your final lines: Oakland 1019, 0108, 3728, 3728, 23, 410, 410, 23. White Sox put 10 men on base. The A's put 11 men on base. And there we go. Now we've learned something, like who was the next best team in the American League in the first year of the Oakland Dynasty, and I think we can conclusively say that it was the Chicago White Sox. They're stuck in the same division. There was no wild cards in that era. They beat the Tigers twice, as a matter of fact, in the regular season, and they beat them 4-1 in the divisional round. Baltimore got old, and the White Sox beat them as well. Oakland beat the Orioles also, which left a vacancy as who else was good in the American League and from 72 to 74, and there weren't a lot. Oakland, there's no way to ignore this. They are 31-12. This is one of the best teams we've ever had in the carryover league. They're hitting .277. They have a .327 earned run average. In some ways, a lot of that is conservative because they had a lot of blowouts this year. So they have a lot of garbage runs allowed and a lot of batters swinging out of the opportunistic platoon, lowering the batting average. 31-12. Kenny Holtzman and Catfish Hunter are 22-4. 22-4. Raleigh Fingers, 15 saves. 21 2/3 innings, just 2 runs allowed. He and Gossage have ERAs below 1. 0.83 for Fingers. And during all of this, Reggie Jackson has been, he's been fine, but he hasn't been tearing it up. He's just been leading the team, but he doesn't lead the team in homers. That would be Gene Tennis. 37 RBIs for Tennis as well. I guess the leading Oakland hitter could be Mike. Yeah, it's Mike Hegan. 63 for 173. 364 batter, Mike Hegan. And the White Sox, their season ends with a 4-2 loss. They finished 9/500, 30-21. Gossage ends up his final line, 36 1/3 innings, 24 hits, 3 runs, 16 walks, 52 strikeouts. Wow. An ERA of 0.74. But Wilbur Wood was just 9-8. Bart Johnson 3-4. Bradley 4-6. The bullpen won another game because of the grand slam homer by Bill Melton in Game 5. White Sox bullpen, this is stunning. They are 12-1 with 11 saves. It isn't just Gossage. We have to give props to Terry Forster. His ERA, hold on, is 2.03. Dave Lemons, who pitched in that game, has actually been a very good pitcher this year. 6 runs in 28 innings. A 1.92 ERA for the second lefty out of the White Sox pen. And then Mike Garman was usually the long man for garbage innings when they were behind or ahead by 3 or more runs. Dick Allen finishes the year with 10 homers and 41 RBIs. But he was 51 for 197. That's just a 259 year. So sadly, that card actually did underachieve. The final time he used it. A couple more hits out of that card were in Game 7 of the ALCS. You know, I mean, if Dick Allen hits 280, 290, 300, White Sox might even be in the World Series. That's how tight it was. Ken Henderson, 8 hits, 8 homers, and 28 RBIs. Nice year. But Carlos May, I think, was the leading hitter. He had 60 hits, 60 for 192. He had 313, so he was fine. They had 4 guys stealing bases. Dick Allen had 6. Excuse me, he had 3. Brian Downing had 5. Henderson 5. Carlos May had 7. But the offense overall was the reason they lost Game 6. And when you look at the offense, they hit .259 as a team. And that's just not good enough. This team should hit .270 or more. mean, they got some fantastic sticks. I think they just underachieved offensively. Very streaky early on. And then when they went up against the top pitchers like Catfish Hunter and Ken Holtzman, they got stone cold. So we'll plug in the tournament, the postseason playoffs. Here it is here. Oakland replaces Detroit, who went to the World Series a year ago. They win the series 4-2, 30-14 a year ago. This time 31-12 Oakland. And the White Sox are 30-21. So we're not sure what's going to happen in the National League. Well, that'll be the next final league championship series, the Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds. Particularly intriguing because they actually were division rivals in the 70s, but because of realignment, they aren't in the carryover league. So they're actually neither are in the National League West. The National League West has been almost the private domain of the San Francisco Giants because of that. Mostly because the Dodgers struggled for a couple years. So that's it today, folks. Break up the Oakland A's. They outlast the Chicago White Sox 4-2. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.